All right, at this time, I'd like to invite Cayla Black from Clay County High School up to the stage. The floor is yours, Cayla.
Hi, my name is Cayla Black, and I'm currently a sophomore at Clay County High School. I'm here today for one simple reason above all others. I want to make a difference. I want to make a change. See, my mom and dad always tell me that I have this wild dream of someday changing the world. Well, I do. They're right, and I'm never one to admit that. I mean, what teenager is? I realize they'll never be able to fix everything. I'll never be able to change everything and make it just go away. But I have to start somewhere. I'm here for the prospect of the reform of the education system by the year 2030. Some people may say, wow, by 2030? That's a long time from now. No, it's not. Those 17 years come quicker than any of us can ever really imagine. Change takes time. It's not an overnight thing. I hope some of you hear my ideas and say, hey, she's on to something here. I hope some of you want to make a change that may seem insignificant right now, but makes a huge impact on down the road. I'm not just looking at this from an outside perspective. My mother is a teacher. I am also currently taking career and education classes to train me to be a teacher someday. As a student, I see lots of problems, but I have an inside perspective every day. To me, education is a part of life. It's something that you have to make something of yourself. No matter what type of education that is, you have one, and it enables you to do something more than just sit at home and live off the system. I hope to someday move into a position where I'm able to make a change, to make a positive impact on the world and everyone in it. That is my ultimate dream. I can almost bet that every one of you sitting in this crowd today is connected to the school system in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's your niece, your nephew, your daughter, your son, or your grandchild, you are connected. Community involvement is very important to me because I feel it should be more emphasized. Everyone should want to be involved with the school system in their community. And you think of it this way. The children in that system are the future of West Virginia. They are the future of America. Eventually, they will reach a point in their life where they have to decide what their dreams are. They have to decide what they want to do with the rest of their life. Would you prefer them to have a narrow mind, to not know what all is out there for them to learn and discover? Or would you want them to know, to realize that they have a blank sheet of paper in front of them, that it's up to them to write their story and do whatever their heart desires? There are so many careers that are available, but one of the main problems is that students of today's time don't realize what all is out there. I asked the students in my school if they'd like to have more career days. These are the answers. The green bars are the yes, the red bars are the no. 9th grade starts over here, and there's 12th grade. You can tell that there's a pretty clean sweep for more career days. Not only should parents push their children to achieve their full potential and show them all that life has to offer, but the community as a whole should step up and take responsibility. It could be something as simple as volunteering at career days, or it could be something more hands-on like job explorations and job shadowing. Career days are a must. It shouldn't just be open to the upperclassmen, juniors and seniors. It needs to be something that involves the entire school, 9th through 12th. I also asked the students if that's what they would like, for it to be offered to the whole school or the juniors and seniors. It was pretty much a clean sweep with the whole school, but of course the juniors and seniors had to be picky, and they just wanted it all for themselves. By their junior year, let me start this over. By their junior year, students should have some idea of what career they'd like to pursue. Showing students what is possible at an earlier time gives them time to think and decide what they would be best for them. As the saying goes, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. I believe this, and I think students should remember this when they're choosing their profession. Motivation. Such a simple word, but it holds a greater meaning than any of us can actually really realize. Day by day, students are losing the motivation to succeed, to make something of themselves. The standards of what education was built upon is slowly going away. This is an ongoing problem that is worsening with every generation. Restoring motivation to students is almost impossible. Almost. The basis of the lost motivation can be traced back to many things. One, it starts at home. If students do not have a positive influence in their life, how can you expect them to want to do more than just get by? I asked them if they'd like more parent involvement in schools. You can tell that it was pretty much no. Well, I have an idea of how to change those no's to yeses. If parents would start providing guidance at an earlier age, then students would tend to continue to look for that guidance as they grow older. But you can't do something if you don't realize that it was there in the first place. Everyone has a role model, someone that they look up to, and someone that has made something of their life. Everyone deserves someone like this. Most are just happy to pass something. Oh, wait. Two, students still have set standards that push them to achieve their full potential. Most are just happy to pass something by the skin of their teeth. 3, no one holds students accountable for their work that isn't done or their low grades. I asked them, the WEST test is basically a standardized test that is given all throughout West Virginia to test the education skills of our state. And I asked them, how important is the results of the WEST test to you? The red is a lot, the blue is a little bit, and the green is none. You can tell it's a little bit was the main answer, so it's not overly thought about and it's not underly thought about, which is a good thing, but there's no, yeah, okay. Okay. The standards of education have plummeted. To some, the bare minimum is even too much. If the schools and the parents were to require more of the student to make sure it comes to them doing their best, then maybe the motivation to do more would return. I asked them how hard they try on the WEST test. The purple is the best. They tried a little bit is the pink, and they didn't try at all is the blue. You can tell that most people try their best, but as they come from 9th grade to 12th, it slowly drops, and they're like, about it. If no one holds the students accountable for what they do and instills a proper way of thinking into their minds, then education is doomed to continue to plummet. Someone needs to step up and say, hey, there's something wrong here, and something needs to be done. In schools, there is an occurring situation for students. The teacher, no matter how hard he or she tries, cannot provide all the help that some students require to grasp the curriculum. These students sadly fall behind, or most of the time, they do poorly on their schoolwork. In elementary schools especially, students sometimes get passed along when they're not prepared to do so. This causes many problems, not just for the student and their family, but for the school system as a whole. When teachers are forced to go back and reteach something basic that should have been taught prior to that point in time, this causes frustration, not only for the student, but for the teacher as well. For students that are more advanced in the area, the class becomes pointless and non-challenging. Starting in elementary school, if the student is not ready to move on to another grade, he or she should have 2 options. 1, the student is to be held back. Or 2, the student is required to attend a study group or have a private tutor work with them for at least 2 or 3 times a week. I propose the second idea because when a child first begins school, he or she begins to form bonds with their peers. At such a young age, it can be exceptionally hard to be pulled from what is familiar and be forced to repeat a grade over again. Certain factors that should be looked at include work schedules, financial resources, and living arrangements when making this decision. Many schools do not have an after-school program for tutoring or anything of that nature. My county in particular, because of budget cuts, no longer has an after-school program. Whether it will be restored next year or not, I'm not completely sure, but I can tell you one thing. Having someone come in, whether it's a high school student or just a volunteer, to help with homework or anything of that nature, can make a huge difference. In fact, it can make all the difference in the world if normal people would just stand up and say, hey, I want to help. I have found that students tend to give more credibility to information from outside sources rather than familiar faces. By bringing people from the community, students are able to see different points of view and achieve their full potential. I'm guessing that all of you are wondering about one very important question. What can I do to help? Well, I'm so glad that you asked. First of all, take an interest in your community and the students of the future. Make yourself available for career days. Offer to allow 1 or more students to job shadow. Make sure that the students of your community know that they can be whatever they want and succeed at whatever they choose if they set their mind to it. Second, be a role model. For students, having a positive role model in their life that shows them that they can succeed, it's one of the best things that you can be. Third, volunteer to host a study group or to tutor students in your community or surrounding communities. A great thing to think about doing is donating to a fund that supplies low-income families with a private tutor at occasional times. This should be done through the school system and should be monitored closely. If you're short on time and cannot volunteer personally, helping with the funds for the tutoring program is a great way to be involved and to give back to your area. I'm sure that whatever business or program you are representing here today will be happy to help, even in the least little bit. I have to stress this. Nothing is too small. Remember that small, insignificant change you make right now is usually the ones that make the biggest impact on down the road. Thank you.